Brodes Media.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? I am not happy at all. Shocker. Before we get into the action, road to 20,000 subscribers has begun. That's the better English. Make sure if you're new to the channel, smash that subscribe button and also hit that thumbs up button as well. Thank you so much for all the support. On Twitter, @Brodes81. Toss me a follow as well. Thank you so much. You guys are the best. I truly mean that. I say it every day, and I truly mean it. Now, enjoy the show. What is going on, everyone? Welcome on into Sports Talk with Brodes. We have a lot to talk about as the Phillies just get their asses kicked 7-0 on the road in Pittsburgh to a team that had 38 wins entering the night, and they only got one hit against a dude that has a 6.13 ERA. They had Crow look like he was Jacob deGrom, and I just feel like I've said that sentence and just changed the opposing pitcher way too many times this season. How does your front office make the moves that they make? Not that I would have went down the same road, and I'll have more on that in just a minute, but the way the Phillies played tonight, in what universe is that the effort you give as soon as you see Dave Dombrowski acquire help? Now, I hate it. I hated it. Not because of their actual return. To me, they got better. There's no doubt that they got better getting Gibson, okay? Getting Kennedy, getting Galvis. They were desperate for help. They got help. But I don't love the process about getting help. I just don't understand how you look at this team logically, how you self-assess, how you look internally at where this franchise is and think, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to hold on to Andrew McCutchen when you can maybe get something. I'm going to hold on to all my players to try and run it back again next season because we're so close. You're not close. You're not close. You are a fucking bad baseball team. You do a horrendous job at all the fundamentals. Bryce Harper out in right field, dropping balls with ease. Then you had the one that 4 players were involved, and it fell right in the middle of everybody. They don't know how to play the game of baseball. They're chucking guys like Vinny V out there, and yeah, I get it. If you upgrade in that area, you probably see less of players like Vinny V, but there's way more. How about the fact that they can't get any production offensively right after a game where Brad Miller hits a walk-off grand slam? You really respond with nothing, nada, seriously, zero spark. What, the 4th inning when Odubel Herrera got a line drive out? He lined out. I love this one. He got unlucky. It was hit hard, and the other team was just standing there. Are we really going through this again? As if strategy and being strategic and moving players around the diamond is not a part of this game. That's not luck. Putting someone there is not luck. It is part of the game, and it is scheme. So it's not luck. That's part of what the other team is willing to do. Put a player there, and the ball went to him. That's not luck. There's a reason why teams put players in certain areas, have certain spots shadowed on the field, move over the shift. I mean, you name it. There's reasons why managers make the decision on telling players to go in certain areas of the diamond, and it benefited their team. That's not being unlucky. Regardless, though, all 3 phases of this team was a disaster. Pitching, horrible. Defense, one of the worst I've ever seen in my entire life. You know what's disgusting, by the way? When I hear Joe Girardi say that this is probably the poorest game we've had all season, how is that now? How is it this game against a team that absolutely blows, by the way? Let's be clear. The Pirates suck. They are absolutely pathetic. The Phillies are pathetic, but the Pirates are on a whole nother level. We're talking Cleveland Browns territory before they made that change. We're talking Buffalo Sabres territory. So it's on a whole new level, and you have the poorest game after such an emotional high the night before, and you make acquisitions. You know, with Ben Davis on the post-game show, I heard something that didn't really cross my mind at all, and maybe there's something to this. Did they see the Mets grab Javier Baez? Did they watch what the Dodgers did? Did they see what Craig Kimbrell did? Shipped over to the White Sox. Did you see what the White Sox were willing to give up? You see these packages, you see these prospects, you see these players, legit players, getting moved all around town. You're telling me Aaron Nola and Rhys Hoskins wouldn't be able to get you some value? I had so much drama today on my Twitter feed because I went at it. I was very emotional. Look, they gave up Spencer Howard. I don't believe that Spencer Howard is some legitimate weapon that they convinced us or tried to convince us that he was, right? There was obviously an issue after the third inning where he would get absolutely annihilated because the fatigue factor, his velocity would dip. I mean, it was a nightmare. But we can't act as if they handled Spencer Howard perfectly and this franchise has zero blame. It was malpractice the way Spencer Howard was used and the way that they were sending messages to him and bullpen starter, AAA starter, AAA starter, bullpen. It was a joke. I mean, you just can't do that to a young kid who's trying to figure himself out. You get weird circumstances, and that's basically what ended up happening for Spencer Howard. But this is the gamble that they took on a team that is mediocre. They're 51-52. They're a 500-style baseball team. You gambled on possibly what Spencer Howard could be. Once again, I don't claim it's anything significant. I don't claim that it's top end of the rotation, but maybe it's a bullpen piece, and you see how important a bullpen piece is. You give up Spencer Howard for Kyle Gibson for a year and a half of a year of Ian Kennedy. Is that worth it? Now, a little bit more details on what Kyle Gibson brings to the table. 2.87 ERA this season. Obviously, that's very strong. But his last 3 starts, he's allowed 16 runs in 17 and a third innings. So it has been shaky as of late. He's a career, though, in the previous 5 seasons, let's be clear, previous 5 seasons, he had a 4.65 ERA. You got guys. You got veteran guys who are better than what you were. Is right now the time to buy? To me, the answer is no! I've been screaming it. No! No, 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 no! It's not the time. You're lying to yourself. And here's what's going to happen, right? Aaron Nola starts tomorrow. They're going to be pissed off. They're going to be unhappy. They know they should have beat this team pretty easily because they're not a good team. So they'll win with Aaron Nola. And watch what's going to happen. The Mets might lose. They're only a little bit back now. As if this didn't matter. As if this isn't a telling story. If they go out and grab, by the way, there was $4 million involved that was benefiting the Phillies, which is clearly your owner, John Middleton, worrying about the luxury tax as a big crucial part right now, which, to a degree, I don't blame him because when I look at this team, I don't want to be spending more money than I need to for this type of production, but match that energy, though. If that's how you feel, fine. I support that. I do. But I don't support how you go in and buy when that's how you feel about this baseball team. To me, it's the message makes no sense. The truth is not being told. The brain is not working when analyzing what this team is all about. They're about losing baseball. They're about not being prepared. They're about throwing garbage and just throwing garbage on the mound and on the field. And you know what? While if you plug in Gibson and you go out and grab a Cole Hamels, does that change all of your issues? No! No, it doesn't change all of your issues. I'm sick and tired of hearing about the games back, whether only X amount of games back. I don't care. The team is not a playoff legitimate team. I value self-assessment and realistic expectations and realistic information about the team over a fake 3.5 games back. The Cardinals entering tonight were 51-51. The same damn record. They were almost 10 games back. The difference of what you do 10 games back compared to 3.5. This is not the opportunity to go snag that playoff spot. It's not. It's not. Because guess what? It's not going to happen. But let's say it does. Okay, in this hypothetical world. They sneak in. This team is flawed. This organization is flawed. Do you see the amount of players and the prospects that are getting moved all around the league to teams that are already built with a playoff roster, who have so many prospects that they actually can gamble by moving some of their prospects, high-level prospects, because they have enough in the system where if they do make a mistake here or there, or if they do give up a lot for a player that brings back something successful in return, they still have plenty left in the tank for when they actually have to bring up guys and they play. You know what's crazy? The Phillies can't do that. They cannot do that whatsoever. They need to get to where they have the ability. You have to strip it down. You have to find a way to properly build within. And then when you build within, you can start applying that. I hate to break it to you, but the Matt Klentak era was such a disaster. You have to recognize that. You have to be willing to fix those problems, or else this is the common theme over and over again. Look how much money they spend. They spend at the top of baseball, yet they get no legit action in return. I'm losing my mind. You know, this has hit a nerve for me. It really has. It's hit a new level of nerve. Now, I am going to look up exactly the teams that they are surrounding for the payroll for this season. The Phillies are 5th. They are surrounded by the Dodgers, the Yankees. Well, the Dodgers are 1. The Yankees are 2. The New York Mets are 3. Keep in mind, Steve Cohen coming in, a whole new ownership. They were just bragging pretty much how much money they were going to spend this offseason, who they were going to land in free agency, yada, yada, yada. So it makes a lot of sense because of the change. The Astros are 4. Then the Phillies are 5th. The Boston Red Sox, you can make the argument the Angels are in the same position as the Phillies. They spend a lot of money and they're getting zero production out of it. Padres at 8. You know, look at these teams. They spend the same amount of money as all these teams that actually have something to show for them. There's a few that stick out that are not in that area. How about the Giants getting Chris Bryant? You see all these moves being made. And it's laughable to think about what's happening and where the Phillies truly are. And look, the Yankees are, 3rd in the division, battling for a tough spot right now with the Rays, who don't spend money, although they have a successful franchise doing it their own way, and the Red Sox. But still, I mean, as much as we want to chirp them for how much money they spend, and they haven't won since 2009, there's no chirping. There's no chirping. They might lose in the playoffs, and they might have some battles in the division, and every other year, maybe, it's the Red Sox and the Yankees, then it's the Red Sox, and, it seems to be kind of transferring back and forth. There's a lot happening with that franchise that runs way better than what's going on here. We are in Seattle Mariners territory. That's where we're at. We can have the debate on who's the worst ran franchise right now. Is it the Seattle Mariners or is it the Philadelphia Phillies? And when you're in that level of disgust, it really is pissing me off insanely. So that's what you got. You got your Gibson, you got your Freddie Galvis, and we're talking about who's going to get more playing time, Ronald Torreyes or Freddie Galvis. Oh, help me! Help me! I can't do this much longer! It's killing me inside. It really is. Didi, we know he has not been the Didi Gregorius that we really needed him to be when you thought about the signing. So maybe there's a way that, you're sitting in a situation where Freddie Galvis and Ronald Torreyes are both out there. Or it's Ronald Torreyes and Alec Bohm, or it's Alec Bohm and then Freddie Galvis. I mean, who knows? But here's the thing. You trade for a guy that's not going to be available until about the middle of August. I don't love the mentality of this team of we need to make this team better. We have to go for it. Now, you don't have to go for it. Now, quite frankly, they did not give up a lot of pieces. So it's not about breaking down what they had, which is not much, but it's not about that. I'm not mad at the players in return. I'm not truly mad about the player that they gave up on. It's just the mentality of it that is really mind-blowing to me. It's so damn clear and obvious on what's happening. It's so clear. It's clear as day where this team is. Why are we lying to ourselves? You know what the Nationals did? They got rid of Trey Turner. They got rid of Max Scherzer. They sold. They realized what was going on, and they said, you know what? No. Let's go. Let's bring back some pieces. Let's go. It's time. It's time to turn the new page. Maybe they're doing it earlier rather than later. But guess what? I'll give them some sort of credit here for recognizing that there's something to that. For having some balls and realizing, not lying. While Dave Dombrowski and his DNA is to go for it. But here's reality. He built from the bottom up with the Detroit Tigers. You would think that there's this element of, this isn't right, John. This isn't right. Although I'm sure that there's some pressure from John Middleton going, dude, we haven't made the playoffs. We have to shut this crowd up. Well, guess what? I ain't shutting up. And I went bonkers today on social media. I cannot believe the amount of optimism with some of these fans. Like, are you delusional? What are you watching? And this is what I ask people. Tell me why this team has a chance. Without saying games back. Without games back. Let me know baseball-wise, on the field-wise, what makes you feel that this team is a playoff team? Let me know. I would love to hear the answer. You can comment down below. I'd love to see some of these. Because the answer is nothing. There's nothing. Zach Wheeler, one guy. Aaron Nola's probably going to shine tomorrow. He's coming off of a good outing, and he's going up against a bad lineup. But, I thought this bad lineup was so bad that maybe Vince Velasquez will be able to get through. And it's the last time we see him, right? Remember he was bitching and complaining that he thought he had more left in the tank and Joe Girardi took him out too soon? Vince, shut up. You actually have to, if you say those words, you have to support that. You have to back that up. You have to actually give us something. And you just got shelled by the worst team in baseball. And you're talking about extra base hits. And then he starts the second inning after 36 first-inning pitches by plunking Crow, who stinks. Just, there you go. Oh, you lost command. Okay. Doesn't help that his defense was bad. I don't know what was going on with Bryce Harper. And I was poking the bear a little bit because in yesterday's podcast, what did I do? I said, I can't stand that Bryce Harper just takes himself out of the middle of a game and then goes, I'll be ready to play tomorrow, though. Well, what are you doing here, dude? Right? I mean, how many times is it, I just couldn't finish the game, but I'll be okay for tomorrow. He ends up running into the wall. This was after his first mistake where the ball just dropped behind him. He runs into the wall, and then he instantly grabs his ribs, and he can barely throw the baseball in, but he stays in the game. And I tweeted at the time, at all the scenarios we've seen this season where Bryce Harper left the game, this is the time he stays in. And I was kind of being facetious a little bit and waiting to see the reaction, and it was pretty damn funny, I'm not going to lie. I was toying with the Twitter trolls and the Twitter feed today. Sometimes I just get in my feelings, if you will, and today seemed to be that day, and it seems to continue to go right now. As you can see, I'm just fired up thinking about how disgusting this organization really is. But getting back to my main point, but I do mean it to a degree. I mean, you have a little thing here, a little thing there. I'll worry about tomorrow. Here, it's like you're grabbing your ribs. You can't throw the ball unless, and I don't know if this is true. I'm just looking at all the angles here. Was it not as bad as what he made it seem it was? And the only reason why he reacted or acted that way is because he knew that 2 balls dropping in those type of fashion is just not okay, and it's unacceptable. Like, you think about leaders on this team. I asked this question the other day. Who is the leader on the team? Vocally, it's Rhys Hoskins. Well, it shouldn't be. And that's not a knock on Rhys Hoskins. I think he can have a voice in a clubhouse. There's a lot of men in a clubhouse, right? He can have a voice. He does seem to have some sort of, he's got character to him, no doubt. Like, I'm not taking that away from him. This team, though, with Bryce Harper, that's unacceptable. And it can't be Rhys. It has to be Bryce Harper. Like, that's the right answer, Bryce Harper. And he does it with his play. That's the type of leader he is. So sometimes there's guys that thrive more speaking and thrive more motivationally because of the way that they pep talk and they get you going and all. And then there's guys who leave it out there on the field. There's no denying that Bryce is that dude in that aspect. And when it comes to actually giving that maximum effort, where was that? Where was that? So if you're not doing that, Bryce, what are you doing? And I don't know if anyone's seen this TikTok, but it's that woman who's floating around in the lazy river. And she's like, if you ain't at the river, then where the fuck you at? That made me sound, that sound made me feel like I was that woman. And it was a very viral TikTok. If nobody knows what I'm talking about, I'm going to sound like an absolute idiot. And I'm okay with that. I'm absolutely okay with that. I also look like an idiot today when I put out there, all right, Phillies, flip me the double bird. It's time. It starts now. Go beat a team that has 38 wins. Well, they fell flat on their face. They really did. What else happened? Well, they ended up getting some minor leaguers. They got that Hans Kraus guy. Seems to be a goofball. Maybe there's something to it. He went a little bit after Spencer Howard in the draft. He's got a goofy mustache, some crazy hair. He does some Johnny Cueto stuff with his mechanics, and he pauses and he shimmies, and he seems to be a bit of a psycho, but all the boys love him. You can see all these reports on him and whatnot, so it'll be fascinating to see if he ever grows into anything. And Dave Dombrowski stated that it would have never happened if he was not in the deal, so they do see something in this player, and I think that there's something to it. But, yeah, I mean, I'm more focused on bigger picture than just him as the prospects. By the way, while everybody's making serious moves and getting ballsy, even the Braves got a little ballsy. I probably wouldn't have done what they did, but they decided to run with it. But maybe you can take that gamble if you have the track record of the Atlanta Braves to maybe feel like, hey, there's something here. The Phillies' track record is this. How come after Ben Simmons sucks for 3, 4, 5 years in a row, it's okay to move on from him and be willing to see that there has to be major changes? But with the Phillies, we're going to be entering next year as the 4th year of this debacle, yet it's just going to constantly be the same. When is enough enough? When is the realization going to happen? There was another match I got back and forth with on how are you going to blame Nola and Reese for the failures of the defense in the bullpen? Well, Reese is a bad defender, number one, and I'm not. It's unfortunate for them. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm not saying it's fully their fault. I'm not claiming that they are the reason. I'm telling you there needs to be an organizational philosophy change that starts with getting a bunch of legit assets in your system and build from the bottom up into your team. Like, that's what you have to do. You have to start at the bottom with your prospects and just have such a great core that you can constantly turn it over while then getting your big league roster in check. And then from there, bang, 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 every year you can make your push, you can make your moves, you can do this, but you constantly have flow going up, and it takes time to build, no doubt. And there's maybe Bryson Stotts and Mick Abels, and maybe that's the start of it all. But could you imagine the package for Rhys Hoskins for a team? Looking at what was getting thrown around today, I mean, there was definitely packages available. Aaron Nola, team-friendly deal. The starting pitching market wasn't wild to the point where you throw a pitcher with the contract that Aaron Nola has out there. Who knows what you could get in return? It sparks it faster. You know, you don't want to rebuild. Fine. Make moves like that. Acquire those talented players that are kind of close but have a little bit, and like maybe they're just about to touch the surface of Major League Baseball. Like they're right there, but then you also kind of restock your system in general. And from there, you know, it's quicker. You're not rebuilding as long as you think it is. Oh, it's annoying, though. We have anytime hotline calls. Before we get to those, DraftKings Sportsbook's not only my favorite sportsbook, but America's top-rated sportsbook. Speaking of America, our top athletes are over in Tokyo competing for the gold. And DraftKings has a medal-worthy offer just for my listeners. Listen to this great offer. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code Brodes when you sign up to turn $1 into $100 in free credits if America wins a medal. That's code Brodes to turn $1 into $100 in free credits for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older, New Jersey, Indiana, or Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. I wanted to touch on one thing. While all these other teams are making moves, your general manager is meditating. That's serious. I'm not joking around. The Phillies general manager came out and said, yeah, you know, during deadline day, we just had to sit there and meditate. What? What are you saying, dude? What are you talking about? To me, that's embarrassing. I don't know what's more embarrassing. The 7-0 beatdown where you just got shelled, where we're literally having the debate on should you bring in Chase Anderson to be your starting pitcher over the next rotation switch. It's like, really? That's what we're doing? Okay. Look, the Eflin news, it is what it is, and I don't expect him to come back anytime soon. They're claiming it will be, but even if you do, I don't sense that we're getting a Zach Eflin that feels like he's really ready to compete at the highest level. He's going to be fighting through things, and Zach Eflin's not the guy. He's not Max Scherzer, Madison Bumgarner. I always like to use the Madison Bumgarner reference. You know that because at his prime of dominance, it was magical. you can get away with playing through pain and playing through some of that if you are a top echelon guy. If you're Zach Eflin, I think you need every ounce in you to be the player that we need you to be. And if you're not, how can I expect him to give me 6 or to give me 7? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if I can expect that. So what, he's going to give us 5? Well, then now you have a great Wheeler, a below-average Aaron Nola this season. We don't know what he's going to turn into as this August month turns around and as the new calendar flips over, of course. The month on the calendar flips over. But, then you have what? You have Gibson. What do you got? Cole Hamels? Okay. Cole Hamels is going to give you just as much as anything else you have at the back end. You might have a good outing followed by a horrendous one. He's hanging around for a reason. Great. It would be awesome. Cole Hamels, better than what you got. Maybe. Worth a try at least. Sure. I'm not getting all pumped up for it. All right. We have some anytime hotline calls here. Some on the game, some on the deadline in general. Let's kick this bad boy off.
What's up, Brodes? I decided to take a trip to Pittsburgh this Friday night to watch the Phillies get absolutely banged by the Pittsburgh Pirates. This is absolutely embarrassing, but don't get me wrong. Andrew McCutcheon is going to save the season, right? Yeah.
Let's go, Phillies! I love that. That's phenomenal. I love the effort. I love the passion going to Pittsburgh. Look, I went the other day with my fiance, and they ended up winning, so I guess it's easier said than done. But I went with that mentality of, I don't want it to be work. I don't want to study the game insanely. You're at the ballpark. Enjoy the food. Get some chicky and peach. Grab some crab fries. Go grab a beer. Just embrace the environment. No reason to go heavy, pitch by pitch right on the outside corner. Bring your binoculars. Like, I understand that. Trust me. There's times for that. And because I haven't been there in so long, that was the approach I went for. What I'm trying to say, though, is you go to Pittsburgh, you see the way their ballpark's set up, right? You see the city. You see it all. It's amazing. You just go and enjoy the night with your boys, right? I mean, I know it's easier said than done. I'm just trying to make it a bit easier knowing that you spent all that time, spent that money to travel and get down there to, to be those passionate fans. And you want them to win 7-0. If it was competitive and they lost 5-4 in 8 innings, as if I'm going back to yesterday with the 7-inning doubleheaders. You see what baseball is doing to me right now? Let's say they lose in the 9th and it was a heartbreaker, but it was still intense. I'm with you. It sucks, but maybe you just take it for what it is. Your boys had some fun, got hammered, started going nuts, right? And you made the trip. That's me just trying to look optimistic for you. 99.9% of the time I'm binoculars and just making sure I'm watching the paint in the corners. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, he painted the corners. That's amazing. That's majority of the time. But if you're trying to look optimistic here and just look at the good night with the boys, that's kind of the only way you can do it. So that's my advice. But I guess you can't go back in time and take away the way that it was watched. But maybe that's something you need to know for the next time. That's sort of the mentality going into a game needs to change. Maybe not so much afterwards. But anyway, let's get to the next call.
Wow, Brodes. I mean, where do I even start with this one? Like, what was even happening in the outfield today? These guys look like the freaking bad news bears out there. And then the offense, I don't even think woke up this morning, it's not completely unusual for this team, but it's literally against the Pirates, the freaking Pittsburgh Pirates of all teams. It's just another example of like taking one step forward and 2 steps back.
That's exactly what they do every single game. And nobody seems to be willing to admit that only because of games back. I truly get all annoyed inside when I hear, well, they're 3.5 games back. They're 3.5 games back. I don't care. I really do not care. It's not about that anymore. Take away the games back. How are they as a baseball team? Because all games back tells me is the surrounding pieces are not that strong. I don't care about them. I need to fix ourselves. That's what I need to do. You need to fix yourself before you can start figuring out about other teams. How many times do we talk about that with the Eagles? Oh, people are so worried about the Cowboys in the division. Don't worry about them. Worry about the Eagles getting back on track before you start thinking about all the other pieces surrounding them. That's how it has to be for the Phillies. Stop worrying about who the Mets are after grabbing a player like Javier Baez, and stop worrying about what the Braves are doing and what the... Who cares about those teams right now in the division? I care about what the Nationals are doing because that's what the Phillies should have done. That's the method they should have bought into. Games back tells us more about what slops, but that's not a go sign to just say let's not assess ourselves properly because other teams are bad. Like, what type of thought process is that? Let's lie to ourselves because of what's around us instead of telling the truth to yourself. What's the truth? They aren't good. Okay? Nice and simple.
They should have sold. I mean, looking at what Vince Velasquez is giving you every single time, and he's not going past 2 innings. Him, Matt Moore aren't going past 2 innings. It's just terrible. I mean, we look what the Twins got back for Berrios. We could have got probably something similar for that for Nola. You're talking 2 top 70 prospects, 2 top 100 prospects for Nola. I'm taking that in a heartbeat. You probably could get a decent prospect for Rhys Hoskins, maybe Segura, McCutcheon for an American League team, but
yeah, there's definitely options around. The Segura thing, there's a lot of money tied to him, but he's a 300 hitter. I'm sure a team would be willing, who's going on a push and going on like a little bit of a run, would be willing to snag a 300 hitter for their team. Now, financially, it would maybe limit what's going on, but still, there's something there. Rhys Hoskins, I think if you look at his numbers and what he provides with the homers and the doubles and when he gets into a groove, I think it's more than just a prospect. All these guys, package them up all together and think about what you could have acquired. Yeah, to me, it's a no-brainer. If I'm Dave Dombrowski, it's a no. I'm not even thinking twice about it. It's as simple as, hey, who wants these guys? It's as simple as that. And, one person brought up to me, well, what do you say to Bryce Harper? I say, Bryce, I was paid to look at this franchise and make moves to set them up for their best success possible. That's what I do, Bryce. So if Bryce was unhappy, Bryce didn't love it, Bryce would be upset. You worry about baseball. I'm paid to be the baseball of operations. Of course, I'm not going to say it this douchey, but my message is I have a job to do. This is my job. I'm trying to set this franchise up for success. It's not go get Chris Bryant. It's not go all in for Craig Kimbrell. This team's not ready to go all in. Bryce, you worry about the baseball side of things. I'll worry about the operation side of things, and from there we'll move on, right? Once again, I'm not going to be a douchebag about it, but that's basically what I want him to hear because it's the truth. Can't even catch fly balls right now. Is he banged up? Sure. Is he the biggest problem on this team? Absolutely not. I love Bryce Harper, but I'm just being honest. That's all. I'm being honest.
Brodes. When will this emotional roller coaster end with this team? First thing is I'm being convinced that we are pushing for the playoffs, and the next thing I look at the TV and we're down 7-0 to the Pirates. Like, what is it with this team? I'm tired of being convinced and then just being let down each year.
Well, then they need to do something different. They need to do something different. They need to do what I'm telling them they need to do and get a whole new look, get a whole new identity. Bring guys in that you would have never thought about. Move guys out that you wouldn't have wanted moved on from. That's what you need to do. They need a facelift. You were willing to move on from Ben Simmons once you realized it was the same thing every year. The Phillies are doing the same thing every year. Okay? Flyers, same thing every year. Very inconsistent, up and down, playoffs not. What'd they do? Move Jake Voracek. What'd they do? Grab legit defensemen. What'd they do? Bring in a bunch of veteran leaders around the league. They got a whole new look. Will it work out? We don't know. We don't know what's next season's going to be all about. There's a lot of factors involved for sure. There's the Olympic break and the season's all condensed. And, there's a lot happening with the NHL in general, getting back to 82 games, right? And all that. Every team has to deal with it. It's not just the Flyers. But we know what they had wasn't working. So you have to try something new. You need to go into a different direction. That's all I can ask for. Try something different because this isn't working. All right, Dave? So let's go. And I like Dave. Been around the block. His track record speaks for itself. But let's go, dude. Because I know he's not dumb. I know he's not stupid. So is this a John Middleton thing? And he'd be willing to. He's a game's back guy. Trust me. He's a game's back guy. But he's a smart guy. I know he's looking at it at 3.5, and his nature is I'm going to go. I'm a go-getter. But he's smart, too. He's a smart baseball mind who built Detroit bottom up. So let's go, Dave. Snap into it here. With that being said, thank you so much for listening, and I will see you next time.